welcome back to the Book Cave with me, Jenny. So today I have my March wrap-up, and as you'll be able to tell with all the little clips, I actually recorded quite a few of my book reviews today because I fell a little behind in February. So, it happens, and that's what we're doing. And then before I jump into that, from my TBR, I did not even start The Nightmare Before Christmas or Dragon Fruit. So those two I'm going to continue on into March and hopefully be able to finish them. And then I started and got about 2/3 of the way into Vampires of El Norte. So that one will definitely be finished in March. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter obviously is one of Brandon Sanderson's secret projects, and I did read this with a book club, and we need to schedule our discussion yet, but I do feel like it will lead to a very lively discussion and kind of like a lot of different things that different people would get out of this. And I did enjoy kind of seeing the different things that are connected to the Cosmere. Not that I've read too much else in the Cosmere, but some of the things I've read I do know kind of tie into it from different things I've seen on the internet, read in reviews, and stuff like that. And this one was definitely interesting in how it tackled developing the relationship between Painter and Yumi and how it went about the world building. And I just thought it was really, really interesting. And I love how the relationship develops. Like, I just felt like Yumi and Painter were very well fleshed out. They got to know each other very well. And it was very unique. And if you like fantasy, I really, really think that this would be one that you would like. And even if you haven't read the Cosmere, you'd still like it. But I do feel like had I read more of the Cosmere before this, that I probably would have gotten more out of it, seen more connections. But as it was, I just kind of enjoyed the ride. Because, yeah, there was quite a few things that confused me, but I felt like they got wrapped up pretty well. And I had so many theories about what was happening, and it turns out that, like, none of them were right. And, yeah, just a really, really good book. I read The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, and this was a Barnes & Noble's book of the year. And to be honest, this kind of reminded me a lot of Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too, just with some of the quotes. Like, you have, "Sometimes I worry you'll realize I'm ordinary," said the boy. "Love doesn't need you to be extraordinary," said the mole. And just like little quotes like that. And then we've got, "Nothing beats kindness. It sits quietly beyond all things." And finally, I have "The greatest illusion is that life should be perfect." Because, yeah, obviously, like, life is never perfect. And, there are many important things that happen in the slow moments, as this book kind of shows. And I do love the fact that in the "that life should be perfect" page, the author and illustrator's dog actually walked over the page, messing it up just a little bit. And yeah, just like kind of a perfect metaphor there. And yeah, if you like kind of like inspirational short books that, are very quotable, if you enjoyed Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too, I really feel like you would enjoy this. And I do hope that if you pick it up, you like it. So much like the first book in Mead Mishaps, That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, That Time I Got Drunk and Needed a Love Potion at a Werewolf was a one-day read for me. I pretty much just binged it. And yeah, this is a fun series. In this particular book, we are following Cinnamon's best friend, the cheesemaker Brie. And this one, instead of going out and exploring the world, they get to stay in the village, and we get to see a little more of like village life and such. And yeah, I thought this was cute enough. I will say these are definitely spicier than you would think from the outset, but I don't feel like that takes away from it like it does some books. And yeah, these are just fun, quick reads in a fun little world, and the characters, I feel like, have very strong personalities, and I do feel like they could be developed a little more. Like, when I say they have strong personalities, it seems like they kind of have one personality trait that comes through very strong. But I did definitely enjoy like the relationship and seeing that develop, and then the little side quest was quite interesting as well. And I do like that we get some world building and we kind of learn about different things. Like, there's apparently fact shifters, there's apparently like a whole bunch of other shifters that we learn about. And yeah, I'd just love to see like more than just 3 books in this series. I do know there's 2 short stories, but you maybe have some more short stories to see kind of like different creatures. But yeah, overall, if you like the fantasy that's kind of a little lighter on the fantasy side and definitely a lot heavier on the romance, and you don't mind a lot of spice, then I think you would enjoy this. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to reading book 3 this month. So I finally got around to the first book in Rebel Blue Ranch, and this follows the only daughter, Emmy, Clementine, and Luke, who is a family friend and has kind of grown up around the writer's siblings. And this is a very strong entry in the series, and it develops each of the characters by themselves very well, and I feel like it develops the relationship very well. And I absolutely loved how gentle Luke was, at certain times when he would help Emmy with different things, and like with her issues that she was having with horseback riding, and he seemed to just like really understand her and know how to support her, and was absolutely willing to do that. And another thing I really love about this series is the whole family dynamic. You get to see Emmy interact with both of her older brothers, Gus and Wes. And so I really enjoyed seeing Wes in book 2, and get to see, obviously learn a little more about him here. And I know I'm going to enjoy seeing Gus in book 3. So I'm definitely excited to continue on. And I definitely recommend this if you like a small town / cowboy romance. One thing I will say about this one is I feel like it definitely had more spice than book 2. And so I was kind of a little taken aback by that, because I was like, okay. But I don't feel like that sacrificed any of the character development. And I could just really feel how strong all the bonds were between the characters in these books. And yeah, it's definitely a series that I recommend checking out. Amazon has another short story collection, and I got the one that was by Abby Jimenez in this, and that is Worst Wingman Ever. And this time I did read them instead of listening to them, and I have to say, while this one wasn't bad, I do feel like it was kind of dark for an Abby Jimenez, to be quite honest. Like, I know all of her books kind of have, the tough, the dark themes, but, yeah, this one just felt like it dealt with a lot more, and that was a lot more front and center, I would say. And yeah, I did kind of like the banter that our two main characters had. I did feel like that was a fun part. And I feel like maybe if this had been longer, it could have been balanced a little better. But I still recommend it if you like Abby Jimenez, and if you are looking for like a short romance. This is a short one. It only takes like 45 minutes or so, I think is what it took me to read it. And that's about what it says. So yeah, definitely check it out if you do like her writing. Just be aware that it is a little darker. I started the webcomic called Under the Oak Tree, and this was actually published originally by Manta, as both the webcomic and the light novel. I do have the light novel, or the web novel, but I have not started it yet. And I do have to say, for this one, I really enjoy the clothing design and the character design. I just think that both are really cute. And yeah, the overall story is about a woman who has a stutter, and so her father treats her very badly. He sees her as a stain on his family, and so he just kind of marries her off to whoever. And she lost her mother when she was young, so she hasn't really had female guidance, and so she's not sure exactly what to make of her husband. And right now I'm not sure either. He has moments where he seems to be fine, and then he has other moments where I'm not going to say he's bad, but he's definitely a little less fine, a little rough around the edges, but that is kind of to be expected because he's a knight who's risen through the ranks. And yeah, I'm definitely interested to get into the light novel and see what more we learn and get more into the comic as well when the next volume comes out. Hopefully my library will have it as well. I finished the audiobook for Dead Silence, and I do have to say this was definitely an interesting book. It's kind of a sci-fi / space horror, and it's set in the future where there are all these ships. There's a comm web, which isn't fully explained, but I'm assuming it's like communication satellites and such. And so it follows Claire, who is on one of the last manned missions to try and like basically fix the comm web, do any little like upgrades and stuff that are needed. From here on out, it's going to be done by robots. And she absolutely loves this job, does not want to lose it. However, she doesn't know how she's going to get a job in space, basically. That's really what she likes, is being in space. And when her and her crew find a luxury liner that went missing about 20 years ago, this is their chance. And unfortunately, are they alone on the ship? Yeah, you'll have to read it to find out. It was definitely interesting. There were a few things left unexplained, mostly about Claire herself. So I'm kind of like, what exactly was going on with her experiences and all of that. And then we also kind of get a big time jump at the end. And while we do get told kind of what happened, it seems like there could have been a lot more done during what happened. And I also felt like the romance that was in there just felt kind of thrown in, to be honest. It just did not feel natural at all. But yeah, I did enjoy this overall, and especially for being like my first space horror, I feel like it was a good place to start, and I could definitely see liking more books in this genre. And I do have Ghost Station, which is the second book by S.A. Barnes, and I do want to listen to that. And she also has a new one coming out later this year that I do plan to get on Audible as well. And yeah, hopefully those ones will be a little bit stronger, but this one was not overly weak by any means. There was just a few things that could have been done much better. One thing I do have to say was done really well was the description of when they got into the ghost ship and describing like all the luxury it had and just like the eeriness of it being abandoned like it was, and all the things they came across. That like really had chills going down my spine at times, especially because I was listening to it at night alone. So yeah, that part was definitely done well. Things You Save in a Fire is my third Catherine Center book, and I believe this is one of her older ones. And this one was pretty good. I did kind of like that we have the man falling first, and kind of bringing the woman out of her shell. And I did find it interesting to like see the dynamics of the firehouse and how that worked, and the different things that would happen, and how the guys wound up finally accepting our main characters. And the side plots I felt like were very strong as well. and kind of like added a lot to the story and made like a realistic barrier, and realistic reasons for why things progressed the way they did. And I did feel like this was one of like the lower in my ratings of Catherine Center, but it is still one that I did enjoy. I wound up giving it like a 3.75 stars, because it just wasn't quite as engaging, as charming as like Hello Stranger, which I think right now that is kind of like my favorite of hers, but it's obviously still very good, and I do still definitely recommend it. So the True Love Experiment, I also gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed this duology. Just, I feel like the characters are so well thought out. They have such great relationships, and like the conflict that arises, it does feel real. And, it's something that's not just feels like it's kind of forced in there to create a conflict. And I just really love seeing Fizzy as well. She's just such a fun character. And yeah, I definitely recommend both of these books. I do have to say that I thought the Soulmate Equation was slightly better, but like I said, they are both definitely 5 stars. And yeah, just absolutely love them, love the characters. And I feel like you definitely can't go wrong with this series. So that's everything I read in February. And as always, I'd love to know, what did you read in February? What are you planning to read in March? Have you read anything that I read in February? And what did you think of it? I always love seeing other people's opinions on books and knowing what they're reading. Just pop a comment down below if you like, and hopefully I'll see your comment there and be able to respond. But thank you for joining me here in the book cave. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another bookish video from me. And I will see you next time in the book cave.